aside from my soul.
How's it going, guys? It's Kenneth here, and today we are going to work on the back area of the polytunnel. And something I was thinking about during the week is Ralph and Pepper go out there quite a lot towards the back, and just like the 1 square meter garden that I had to cover up with netting, I'm gonna have to do the same at the back there. So I've got to pet proof it basically, and I'm sure, you know, the people out there have the same problem. If they've got pets, they will kind of just wander in the garden. You can't stop them, you know, going where they go basically, especially if you're at work all day. So what I will do is get that area prepared. Although I've dug up most of the weeds, you know, about 6 or 7 weeks ago, it still needs to be turned over. There's quite a lot of rocks and bits and pieces in the soil that need to be removed, so I'm going to get them all ready, get some compost in the soil, mix it all in, prepare where we'll plant things, and then show you how I will pet proof it. I'm going to do it really simply, just with some stakes in the ground, and secure the netting onto the stakes. I don't really want to make it too high or too low, because basically once the plants at the back start growing, we'll just take the netting off, because it'll, you know, the pets should stay away from it, hopefully. Hey Ralph. Ralph. That's exactly what I mean by Ralph. He just kind of wanders around here as if he owns the place. So what we're gonna do, you know, it's unfair to stop them from walking through here, because the cats especially use this back area to get, you know, into other back gardens and kind of wander around. So the stakes will go up along here to about there, across, and then all the way along back to that pallet. That means, you know, the animals still have a walkway along here, and then onto the stump that I'm on, and then through the back, you know, so they can still go explore and do whatever they do during the day. Yeah, we're in a lot of sun at the moment now, but I think this part of the garden probably only gets about maybe 4 hours of sun every day. So the stuff we're going to be planting at the back are vegetables that don't need as much direct sunlight as things like tomatoes and peppers. We'll plant spinach, leaf beet, rainbow chard, and that kind of stuff. We'll need some sun, but not as much as some of the other stuff that we've planted. So I will get this ready, get some compost in there, and once that's all done, plan out how everything's going to be planted, and get the netting up. Okay, so I've turned a lot of the soil around, gotten rid of some really big rocks, but something I want to do as well is use this little sieve thing to get rid of some of the bigger rocks. So what I'll do is I'm going to just go over the first sort of 5 or 6 inches, you know, 10 or 15 centimeters of the top part of the soil, get that into there, sieve it through to get rid of all the debris, and then remove that. Okay, so I've done a quick pass over everything. You know, you could spend hours going through the soil, getting every single stone out, but I don't think there's much merit in doing that, especially on such a small scale. So, got all of that out just from going over once, you know, and that's really good. I've kind of raked through everything, and what we're left with is really nice fine soil. Okay, so how I'm going to secure the net around the beds is use these offcuts of the pallets that we've been using. So I'm just going to screw a few nails in, similar to the way I did with the 1 square meter bed. Once those are screwed in, I will go and knock them into the soil sort of in even intervals, and then use the netting over that and just sort of stretch it over the nails to keep it in place. Okay, so that's all done now. And basically all I've done is just put a little screw into the tops of each of these. Oh, hello Pepper, it's going to be the last time you walk along there. Peps! Instead of digging holes and trying to get those in, it's just a bit of a nightmare doing that. I'll take a hammer and just whack them straight in, and that should get them deep enough and, you know, secure enough to be held with the netting. That they are all ready to go. You know, they're not massively deep in the ground, but you know, they're deep enough just to put the netting over and to deter the animals going through. So what I'll do now is just roughly mark out where the beds are going to be. Okay, so I've got some skewers going across, and they're just for guidelines for the moment. So I've got a piece of string over there, and then I'm going to basically make little troughs in between and just make mounds for where the seeds are going to go, and just sort of define them a bit so I can see exactly what's going on. Just by using the small trough, the small spade, and just making a kind of back and forth motion like that, it's actually already creating the mounds that I need. So it's pretty straightforward really. So you want to go through a good number of times. You know, this is just the initial part. Once this is done, I'll go over and just shape them again. So that would be the one bed over here. You know, again, it's just a rough guideline. These will sort of settle down after a while. They won't, you know, stay that raised, but initially this should give a good idea of where everything's growing. Okay, so I'm going to start with kale. Got 145 seeds. They are really, really small. I don't know if you can see that, but I'll sprinkle them lightly in these 2 rows and cover them up. So the 2 rows of kale are along there, and I'll keep those little skewers in just to remind me of where everything is. So I'm basically just using my hand, making a little line of where I'm going to plant the seeds. That was the rainbow chard. Now for the perpetual spinach. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but there's all the beds along there, shaped and ready to go, with the skewers just marking off where they are. Okay, so now for the fun part of stretching this netting over here. Might be a bit tricky, but should be okay. Let's give that a go. Okay, so that's all covered now. It's pretty straightforward. Just be mindful of any excess net. You obviously don't want to trip over it. So what I've done is just place some like stones and rocks around where the net is. You know, that way the animals shouldn't get caught in it either, or should I say Ralph and Pepper. And it'll be easier to walk past. So that's it. There's a net on. It's not massively taut, but you know, it's enough to keep them out, and that's the whole purpose of it. Okay, so that's all done. It's being watered. I'll show you now, but just a quick few updates about what's going on. Here is the 1 square meter garden. You can see a couple of rows of stuff already starting to come out. Okay, and in the polytunnel I've done a whole bunch of transplanting. So as you can see down here, they're either cabbage, they're some kind of brassica, I can't even remember, but those are doing really well. So I've whacked them in here with a bit of compost. They will tend to feel a bit sorry for themselves for a couple of days, and they should recover, hopefully. Done some more transplanting here. Those are some pepper plants. Hopefully they start doing a bit better now. They've moved into something a bit bigger. And the same for the cabbage. They weren't doing very well in the egg cartons, so I've moved them into here. Hopefully this will, you know, inspire them to grow a bit better. And I've moved some of these outside as well, just to see how they do. Sometimes veg needs to be hardened before it gets put straight outside. So basically it needs to be acclimatized basically, but I don't think it should be too much of a problem. So I've just put a couple outside in pots just to see how they do, and there we go. That's the finished product, all watered and ready to go, netted over. So that's it for this week, guys. Thanks for watching. Please share these videos with your friends and leave a like and a comment. And if you want to carry on watching more of these, please subscribe. We will see you next week.